Going into my 4th year at James Madison, we were coming off a conference championship win, and this year I wanted to see if I could get the program to the next level. We had the college football playoffs in sight, but that would only be possible with an undefeated season, and we had a good shot because our entire offense from last season was back. But we were taking on a 95 overall and a ranked Central Michigan team, so we would have to play perfectly if we wanted to start our season with a win. However, Central Michigan's offense was giving us all sorts of problems, and we weren't able to stop their running game. But Billy Atkins was slinging the rock to keep us in it. Junior receiver Leon Houghton Jr. turned on the Jets on this 40-yard touchdown, and he was single-handedly destroying Central Michigan's defense all throughout the second quarter with big play after big play. By the third, we were still moving the ball through our offensive stars, and Leon Houghton Jr. was able to catch his 3rd touchdown of the game. But a guy named Burt was keeping Central Michigan in it. This field goal gave us a 2-possession lead, but it didn't matter because the rain caused Sean Rivero to drop the ball, and Central Michigan took it all the way back to the house to take their lead back. So Billy Atkins had 2.5 minutes to go get us 7, and it looked like it was going to come down to the last play. I thought we were going to score here because Kadarius Sharper fought for an extra 5 yards, but since he fell short, Billy Atkins walked it in. And we took the lead on this extra point, so we left Central Michigan with a win. And we were hosting number 22 Lane the following week. I bet you've never seen a play like this. The Green Waves quarterback chucked it 20 yards backwards, and we were able to recover the ball, but despite that, we were not playing well at all. However, Billy Atkins and Leon Houghton Jr. were on fire again, so when Atkins delivered this 48-yard bomb on the money, I wasn't even surprised. We got another defensive stand on the goal line when junior linebacker Aaron Butler pulled out this massive hit, and senior running back KJ Wright really wanted to get us more points before the half, and it showed. With 24 seconds left, that's exactly what he did with this touchdown snag, but by the 3rd quarter, we were struggling to stop the run as Tyjae Spears was shoving the ball down our throats over and over, so we lost our lead to Tulane. However, senior Billy Atkins and his favorite target, Leon Houghton Jr. were not done dominating, and it looked like they had the best connection in college football. In the end, we had taken down our 2nd-ranked opponent in a row, and Billy Atkins was that guy. James Madison was a top 25 team by week 3, and we were taking on South Dakota State at home, so I was fully expecting to run right through them. We were off to a dominant start, and Leon Houghton Jr. caught his usual touchdown to end the 1st quarter. We took care of business, and our last non-conference game was at Cardinal Stadium. Even though he wasn't very fast, Billy Atkins was running the ball all over the Louisville defense from the start of the game. But he wasn't passing very accurately. This throw had no chance of ever leading to anything, and we were down 10 points before we could even blink. So you'd think Billy Atkins would get us back into it. Wrong. He threw this interception when Troy Lewis created 0 separation, and the Cardinal corner returned it all the way back to our own 30-yard line. After that, we became the unluckiest team in college football when Travion Cooley somehow broke these tackles and took it 30 yards to the house to put us down 17 points. Billy Atkins was single-handedly throwing the game and our season away, so I had to bring Mark Fuller in. And this is how the first drive went. 5 plays in, and he fully sent it, delivering a beautiful long ball to junior wide receiver Sean Rivero and getting us on the board. Right before the half, Mark Fuller effortlessly led us all the way into field goal range, and we got the game within 1 possession. It had been a year since he played, but Mark Fuller was going off, and if we could escape with a win, I don't know how he wouldn't have earned the starting job. Just 2 weeks ago, Billy Atkins threw for 6 touchdowns, but I felt like his 3 interceptions were inexcusable, and he lucked out when Mark Fuller got hurt on this play. So Billy Atkins got to come in and deliver a dot. After Louisville went down and scored again, he would have a chance to lead us to the win, and with 30 seconds left, he thought he called game, and assuming we could hold on to our lead, he had. But Louisville got all the way down to our 25-yard line on this play, so they had a chance to win it, but fortunately, we knocked down the Cardinals' attempt, and we were 4-0. I had a tough decision to make at quarterback, but I ended up sticking with Billy Atkins. He had outperformed Mark Fuller throughout the week at practice, so it was still the senior's job to lose. But on the first drive, he waited half a second too long to pitch the ball, and he fumbled it away to Troy. However, he redeemed himself when he found Leon Houghton Jr. over the top of the Trojan defense for this 49-yard touchdown throw. But quarterback Quade Hawkins was determined to tie up the game. Troy gave us a ton of problems last year, and they were making this game a difficult one. Senior Kyle Holmes had a chance to get a pick 6 here, but he couldn't hold on to the ball, so Troy went up 3. But once again, the best connection in college football was making big plays that the opposing defense didn't have a chance of stopping. And it was clear that Leon Houghton Jr. was the top receiver in the Sun Belt Conference. But right before the half, we got super unlucky. Kadarius Sharper fumbled the ball away and Troy returned it all the way to the house to take their lead back. So we went into the half down 3, and we were in a lot of trouble by the end of the third. But KJ White ran it in for the easy touchdown a minute later, and then after our defense got a pick 6 and KJ White ran it in again, we escaped with the win. The Dukes were climbing through the polls, and we traveled to South Alabama for the first time in program history. Billy Atkins started the game with a mini dot, and after our defense forced a fumble, he came out and threw another touchdown. Through the first quarter, Billy Atkins had already put us up 21-0, so I wasn't even worried when South Alabama finally got into the end zone. Leon Houghton Jr. continued his season of domination with this touchdown grab, and by the fourth quarter, it was safe to say we had secured the win. It was all because of Billy Atkins, and he showed no signs of slowing down when we played at Georgia Southern the following week. KJ White hadn't done much over the course of his college career, but whenever he has an opportunity, he makes huge plays like this one, and he caught this perfectly placed ball midway through the second quarter. Georgia Southern's defense wasn't giving Billy Atkins any issues at all, as he was making the most of his senior year with touchdowns like this one. And in the end, we were still undefeated. So the college football playoffs were definitely possible, but we had a terrible start at home against Old Dominion. We were down 10 points to the Monarchs, and we needed to get our offense going. But before we find out the result of that game, we have got to look at my pick'em results from last week. I went 1 for 11. How is that even possible? Fortunately, Underdog has now added insurance on pick'ems, which really helps me. This means if I miss one of my picks on my pick'em entry, I can still get paid. So I decided to submit this entry where I only have to get 2 of these 3 right to win money. Additionally, since I'm still trying to turn $5 into $100, this is my big pick'em entry for the weekend, and if you want to make money, you should probably do the opposite. Also, if you use code Bordeaux or the link in my description, when you sign up for Underdog, they'll double your first deposit up to $100. On the last play of the first quarter, Billy Atkins threw this laser to junior receiver Troy Lewis, and KJ White ran it in a few minutes later. By the end of the half, Kadarius Sharper gave us a 1-point lead on Old Dominion, but it was still a close game in the fourth quarter, and the Monarch defense was holding strong against us, so he had to take just 3, which ended up being enough to get us the win. Coastal Carolina was the worst team in college football, and since we were dominating the Sun Belt, this should be the easiest win in program history. Quarterback Billy Atkins was off to an amazing start when he slipped through the defense on this 21-yard touchdown run. But there was a clipping flag, so we had to figure out another way to get into the end zone. And junior tight end Kadarius Sharper was able to make that happen for us. The first quarter went exactly how it should have, with us going up 14 points, and we were running away with the game because of Billy Atkins and our amazing receiving core. However, by midway through the third quarter, Coastal Carolina had crawled their way back into the game, and we were only up 1 possession. But it was all good because the best connection in college football continued to dominate. On 4th and goal, our defense was able to end the game with this sack, but if we wanted to make the playoffs, we needed some luck because there was still way too many undefeated teams. We were off to a terrible start against Appalachian State, and by the end of the first quarter, we were down 17, and it continued to get worse and worse. Fortunately, our offense finally started to move the ball after that, and we were fighting to get back into the game. At the end of the half, we did just that, taking a 1-point lead on App State. From there, we had all the momentum, and we were effortlessly scoring. Billy Atkins was playing out of his mind by putting his head down and running it in like it was nothing, but the game was not over yet. With less than 3 minutes left, the Mountaineers were right back in it, so we had to run out the clock to secure the win. Billy Atkins was having an amazing senior year, and for the first time ever, we were able to run through Marshall with ease. They definitely weren't able to hang with us at all, and we ran away with it early. This was by far our most dominant performance, and even Sean Rivera was playing well against the Thundering Herd. In the end, Billy Atkins went crazy, and if we won this game, we would finish the regular season undefeated, so we had to play well. But we found ourselves going down 7 midway through the first quarter, so we needed to straighten up. And when Antoine Booth II read the Georgia State quarterback like a book, he took this simple interception 85 yards to the house for the pick 6, and that one play changed the whole game for us. Billy Atkins was finally able to find his groove and start delivering dots all over the field, and because of that, we were able to take a 2-possession lead on the Panthers. Our defense came up clutch on this 4th down goal line stop, and we left the game 12-0. Our undefeated season had us in the top 4, but we would have to beat Southern Miss in the conference championship. Before that, I took a look at our season stats, and Leon Houghton Jr. had an incredible season so far. It was time for the Sun Belt Conference Championship, and Billy Atkins got us on the board early in the game with this throw. Leon Houghton Jr.'s catch gave him a school record at James Madison, and to start the second quarter, Billy Atkins ran it in. But unfortunately, with a minute left in the half, we fell behind 7 points to Southern Miss on this touchdown. The playoffs were so close, but we had to win this game, and Frank Gore Jr. was giving us all sorts of problems as he was running all over us, and we couldn't figure out how to stop him. Fortunately, Travis Hall ran this touchdown in at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then a couple minutes later, our defense came up with a huge stop by forcing a fumble. With 2.5 minutes left in the game, we finally got the go-ahead touchdown on this Leon Houghton Jr. play, and then on fourth down, we locked up Frank Gore Jr. with ease, so we won our second straight Sun Belt championship, and we had earned our spot in the 2025 College Football Playoffs. And Georgia's Branson Robinson won the Heisman. We had many award winners in Skylar Martin getting the Bednarik and the Butkus, defensive tackle Alex Ortez winning the Lombardi, and Antonio Webb winning the Thorpe. But it was time for the first round of the College Football Playoffs against undefeated Georgia. We actually got on the board first, but Georgia's Brock Vandegrift led them down the field to respond back with this touchdown play a couple minutes later. And by the end of the half, unfortunately, it wasn't looking good for us. On this play, midway through the third quarter, Billy Atkins ended up getting hurt while being sacked, so Mark Fuller came into the game and he scrambled outside the pocket. He took off and dove for the end zone, but he was short, and on 4th and goal, KJ White got lit up on the pitch. By the fourth quarter, senior Billy Atkins was back in the game delivering dots, and we could have gotten the ball back on this play, but Antonio Webb couldn't hold on to it, so we were not in a good position. And our season officially came to an end on this play. We fought our hardest all year just to come up short, so next year was going to be our revenge story.